Welcome to the Green Architects Lounge podcast. I'm your host, Chris Briley.
And I'm your host, Phil Kaplan. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Phil. Here we go.
I know. I'm excited about what we're talking about today. I was actually joking with my wife on the way over, saying, you're going to be really excited about this topic.
And she was like, yeah, right, Phil.
Like, we're talking about how big mechanical rooms should be in single-family homes. Yeah, it was like, so you want me to send you a picture of our single-family home's mechanical room with all the crap that's in it? Like, I was like, no,
I bet the viewers want to see, Phil.
No,
right.
You don't. It's awful.
But
yours is going to be better because we're going to give you lots of good advice about how big to make it.
Right.
And what not to put in it.
Right. This is all about planning for systems, as the chalkboard says. And I should say that this is like you and I are living this. Like part of this is like aspirational, like constantly remembering we need to do this because as designers, it's so fun, right? To draw and design and you're thinking about, how you're living in the space, doing this thing, but like the human body has to like poop and fart and pee and all that.
I can attest that's true.
Right?
Yeah.
So does your house. It breathes. I guess ERV, it creates weight, it burps, it needs food, energy, and all this stuff. And so like these are super important, super critical. And of course, we like to just think about, the space, the experiential, environment and all that. Anyway, so.
And I will say there's another big reason why we're talking about this too. As green architects, as you know we are.
Yeah.
There used to be a pitch that said, one of the things we can do in our houses is that we virtually make the mechanical systems virtually go away.
They
virtually disappear.
Just shrink.
So you don't have all that extra room for your mechanical room anymore.
Right.
You need a lot less space. There's just not that much in it anymore without that furnace. But guess right.
Kind of true.
It's kind of true. But over time, we've learned a little bit more. Right. And I'll be honest, with some of the houses that our firms are doing, the scale has increased.
Yeah.
So when you talk about that, there's just more stuff to think about. And we'll go through that list today.
Right. But first, we got to get something very important out of the way. Ladies and gentlemen, the cocktail of the episode, the last word.
The last word.
But we're drinking it first. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to you.
Quick story behind this cocktail. Phil and I are at lunch having a planning session, and an old architect friend walks in, Paul Lewandowski, and he's like, "Hey guys," I mean, "Hey, just chit chat," and then what are you doing? Two architects, working together. What's going on, guys? And we're like, "Oh, planning for the podcast." And Phil's just like, "Hey, do you have a favorite cocktail?" He's like, "I do. Last word." And without missing a beat. Yeah. We're like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Oh yeah, chartreuse. I love chartreuse." And he just he launched into.
His eyes rolled back in his head.
Yes. And so you could almost
versus the green
picture a bearded, wise sage of an architect man putting his fingertips together and leaning back. Chartreuse. There's green, there's yellow, and then just launching into it.
I think I heard him moan, which is a little creepy.
That is a little creepy.
Yeah.
But okay. But here's what happened.
Yeah.
I promised Phil, all right. We said, all right, there. It's settled. I have, marginal experience with chartreuse anyway. I do like it, especially in a cocktail or something like that. I went to our old friends on Bow Street.
Yeah.
They have everything, people. That's like where we go. It's our go-to. And I said, he's like, "Can I help you find something?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, green chartreuse." And he's like, "Nope." I'm like, "What?" It's like, "No, it's kind of, there's a bit of a shortage."
There's a shortage. There's a chartreuse shortage.
And so, yeah. And so I'm, it's probably like $67 for $70 for a bottle.
Oh, yeah. All that.
Yeah. But at least it's not like 100 or, like some Scott. But here's the thing. It's like, it has this real history of, monks in France making this and then getting kicked out of France and then making it in Spain. And then moving back into France and then getting kicked out again and like saving the recipe, sharing the recipe. And
it's like nobody knows the recipe.
Right. There's two monks that know the recipe for green chartreuse. However, the people at Dolan who make your nice vermouths and things, they think they've got, it's kind of kind of close.
Yeah.
This is Genepi. We've had it in cocktails, but both of us were like, what does it taste like just by itself? Because I don't think I've ever had it, but it's good.
Very nice.
So here's the deal. This is another equal parts cocktail.
That's right. We do. They're great because one, they're easy to make.
Right. You just need to remember the ingredients.
And two, as we'll show you today, if you don't have all the ingredients, you can sub out really quickly.
Right. So it's equal parts, as we said, green chartreuse, or for us, Genepi. I hope I'm saying that right. Genepi.
Yeah.
Oui? I don't know. I don't know.
Sure.
Sorry.
3/4 of an ounce.
3/4 of an ounce.
And a good balance is you usually think about 3 ounces of stuff in a cocktail. So you have 3/4 times 4.
Right. 3 ounces of booze in your cocktail. Yeah. And then we've got a maraschino liqueur, Luxardo, but this is the Lazzaroni.
Lazzaroni. Liquori.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm practicing my Italian.
Good stuff. That's right. You're going to go there.
That's right.
It's exciting. And then 3/4 of an ounce of gin. Of course, our favorite is Bar Hill, or my favorite, I should say. One of my favorites. And we did a thing where we also, because Phil's here and I brought in a little bitters for him, so we got some lime bitters, put a couple of dashes in those. I kind of think it's pretty good.
It is, and it complements the lime. So that's the other pieces of lime juice, fresh squeezed lime.
3/4 of an ounce of lime juice as well, not lemon, lime, but
and a pretty little cherry. So it's got that lovely tint.
Super, super citrusy, really great.
Thank you, Paul. Good suggestion. Excellent cocktail. It's sort of like the other side of the paper plane.
That's right. It is. It's very much like a paper plane. In fact, you could pop out the Genepi for bourbon or rye. Hey,
gin for bourbon.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, gin for bourbon.
Genepi for Nonino.
Yeah. Or maybe try it with Genepi. You know what? We're gonna be, since I have this bottle now, I'm gonna be making some Genepi cocktails. So you might see another one of those coming up. All right.
So let's take a minute and just thank our sponsors.
Right. So stick around. They are great people. Like we always say, we specify their products and they are with us moving the needle in the right direction. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, BS and Beer friends. A quick note I'm Charlotte Mustard and I run IMW Group. I do marketing in the building industry and I happen to do my firm does the marketing for BS and Beer. So since we didn't have a sponsor for BS and Beer this month, we're hijacking that slot to talk about a really cool initiative where we could use community support. So the goal is to get teachers in the room for 2 days of building science education and 1 day of build your program. In my experience, I previously worked at Sashco and we did a lot of trade school support stuff. And what I found talking to the teachers was really 2 things. They are incredibly under-resourced, both obviously financially, but also they're not given a lot of instruction, curriculum, guidance. They're kind of just a free-for-all, make it happen. And they're looking for support. And so we as a community have an opportunity to enable them, to give them what they need. And that includes building science education so that not only are they doing a great job teaching the next level of trades and getting them interested in working in the trades, they're starting these children off with a baseline of a really foundational understanding of building science. And so if we can train the teachers and enable them to then go and do that for their classrooms, how cool, what a cool impact. So the structure is that my firm organizes it, but I'm doing it in partnership with your favorite bearded host, Ben Bogey, as well as I think a lot of you know Matt Blomquist and Mike DeGuidist. Fun fact, Matt Blomquist is a teacher who is creating an entire curriculum around Pretty Good House, the philosophy, obviously, that Michael and Emily, your other 2 wonderful hosts, are a part of. And so that we'll be together kind of putting this on. This is our pilot year. We need sponsorship dollars. The reason I'm talking to you today is if you have people in your network, whether they are brands or businesses who you think would be open to sponsoring, we are trying to make it where the teachers do not pay for their travel at all. And we cover everything while they're here. And it's not quite white glove, but we're going to have happy hours and, dinners at breweries because we want them to walk away not only with the building science and the other stuff that we're working on, but also a network of peers that they don't have a lot of access to otherwise that they can call and talk to. And so those networking activities are important. Obviously, meals. The other thing that we're doing is professionally capturing this and doing content around it so that it can scale over time. All that said, my ask of you is this. If you know of anybody who might be able to help sponsor this, We have created levels down to 500 to make it super easy. It could be a building firm, it could be a brand, it could be an architect, it could be anyone you can think of, or yourselves if you feel so inclined. This is a 100% nonprofit initiative. I spend my own money on this. I charge no money for my own time. I cover my team's time. And I'll probably be in a deficit, which is okay for a pilot year. But the point is, you can feel good that it's nonprofit. The logistics, just so you know, it's in July here in Denver, which is where I live. If you have ideas or questions or thoughts and you want more detail on the camp itself, at the end, you'll see our emails. And please, by all means, reach out. The other ask I have is, these are the sponsorship levels, of course. And so we'll send this around to you and you can see them. And if you've got relationships, we'll take them. But if you know of teachers who might want to attend, having them reach out as well. And so that way, as soon as we get more and more funding locked in, we can invite and bring along more teachers. So please, helping us with finding sponsors and helping us with recruiting teachers is the ask. Thank you for considering it. I'm sorry I interrupted your regularly scheduled program, but I'm not sorry because it's for a good cause. So I will leave you with this slide here, which is the money slide, QR code, our email. And if you have any questions, you can also just go to the BS&BR website and fill out the form and it comes to me too. So hopefully that helps. Thank you. Have a good one.
And we're back.
Thanks for hanging in there. Let's talk about mechanical rooms. You got builders out there saying, nope, you need more room. Installers, nope, need more room. Needs to be bigger. Needs to be much bigger. How much bigger? Oh, it needs to be like 20 by 20. No, I don't need that.
No.
Unless my house is really, really big. And then you've got the architect on the other hand who's saying like, hey, I've dialed this house in. It needs so little energy and it's small. It's only like 1,200 square feet. I got, an ERV, a couple mini splits, hot water tank. That's it, baby.
That's it. And right, the mini splits are ductless, so you don't even need those anymore.
I don't even need space for that.
How much is that? That's like a closet, right?
It's like a closet. The ERV's like hanging over the hot water heater, right? Electric panel just like stacked right next to it. Done. Yeah. No, not really. I mean,
whether you have solar and you need some inverters for that. Oh yeah, and you electrical panel. Everyone's got electrical panel.
But it's really easy to start adding.
Right, and then maybe they want a dehumidifier in this house. That's a good idea. Maybe we should add that.
We should have a dehumidifier. That just got bigger.
Right, water treatment. You guys have issues with what? Oh yeah, I forgot.
We're on a well. That's right. We're not connected.
Oh, and clearance. I forgot about the clearance.
Clearance is in front of things. So pretty soon, as you can imagine, things start to add up, and many a time it's very tempting as architects to like shrink that space to its bare minimum. Try to think of everything that goes in it, make it as small as it needs to be, or put it somewhere sadly less convenient for someone who's maintaining these things. But
that's not who you are as an architect.
No.
You're one of the other architects who thinks about these things beforehand.
Right. And I want to address this, that we're going to kind of approach this from a couple of angles. One, from the experienced professional who wants these good rules of thumb, but also from the inexperienced professional. Like I think of like just people in my own office that when I'm going over there and we're talking about, the water service is going to come in here. Well, what does that mean?
What does that look like?
Well, yeah, it's just a 3/4 inch, maybe 1 inch pipe coming in, right? No, well, I mean, sure, maybe, but it's going to have a buffer tank, maybe a flow meter of some kind or something like that. And again, are we on well or are we on the city? That's a huge difference. And anyway, we start to talk about the hot water tank and the things that go on, the distribution. You're going to have manifolds. Those want to mount to a wall. We're just listing stuff for you. It's not helpful yet, but we're getting there. The point is, so many times you've got that mechanical closet. No. Try to make a mechanical room, right? And maybe we should just we've kind of talked.
Let's just make sure let's just list the stuff that we think could go in there.
Sure.
Right. Like back in the day, it was just, hot water.
Right.
Ideally, hot water heat pump.
Right. There could be a filtration system, as we mentioned, if you're on well, you're going to need to treat water. That takes up space. And that's sometimes is a surprise. Oh, we have a lot of iron. Oh, and arsenic. Oh, and radon. It's Maine. That happens. So
you got to prep for that.
That starts to take up space.
sprinkler. If you have sprinkler
Oh,
service,
yeah. If you're not on well, you're on a city.
That's
maybe,
right.
Or maybe you're on both. And
Yeah.
that's a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
And then that's a lot of storage of water.
Mhm.
That's a whole different room. So, but yeah, sprinkler service.
Mhm. Right. So that's the water stuff, I think. Right. Then there's the ventilation.
Yeah. Well, hot water. Did you say hot water?
Hot water. Yeah.
Hot water. And if it's a hot water, it's a heat pump hot water heater.
Mm-hmm.
Then that needs air volume.
And we endeavor to do that in all our houses now.
Right.
Saves energy. Why not? Why not?
Right.
Um,
Are you going to put electrical in the same space? You don't have to, but
you don't have to, but you got to put it somewhere.
sometimes it's in there.
Mhm.
So you have your main electric panel.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a sub panel somewhere else, and maybe you've got solar happening. Maybe you've got a generator happening. These have their own
That's right.
little, side panels that you have to worry about. Maybe a whole inverter, depending on how your solar's set up. It could
Yeah,
be-
do people do generators all over the country, Chris? I guess I don't really.
I don't, not like we do
so.
in Maine. It's like
You got to prep for a generator. It's just a thing.
You're going to be without power for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you plan on losing power.
Yeah,
It's
every
just
year,
the
a couple of
reality of it.
weeks, I really want to have some power.
Yeah.
So, ERV, ventilation.
That's right.
So depending on the air volume of your house and the air volume you're taking care of in this mechanical room, that ERV can be,
Right. And we'll talk about sizes.
Yeah.
We should go through each one of these
Yeah.
things one by one. And then there's the heat pump.
yeah,
Right. Sure. A lot of times we use ductless, but a lot of times we use ducted now. And
Yeah.
as you start, getting into the higher end homes, you'll more often than not use the ducted heat pump. Is that true?
that is
Yes?
true. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Even if it's tiny little ducts. Yeah.
Yeah. And those things, they're surprisingly, they're bigger than you think probably.
Right.
Because once you have that box and you have things that's sticking out from it on all sides, and we'll talk about the sizes of that in a second.
Yeah.
So you have to prepare for that.
And then,
think about distribution.
right. And yeah, everything you're generating in this plant, we'll call it, your mechanical room, you got to get out to the rest of your house via hydronic, air, refrigerants, whatever it is.
Right.
And a lot of those things need some kind of controls in the mechanical room. A lot of times, they'll need valves and a whole manifold of, pipes, zones. If you're doing radiant flooring, well, you might as well plan out your zones. You got a lot of home runs, probably home
Radiant,
runs coming back.
Yeah.
And likewise, if you're doing home runs to your plumbing, that's if you're doing PEX, a lot of PEX tubing coming back into different manifolds.
That's right.
And so you in your mechanical room. So now maybe let's talk about that mechanical room and housing all these things. So, so like, what do you have a general rule of thumb, Phil, that you like to use for that? Or do you say like 100 square feet?
We usually do 100 square feet, but we've been upping that. And I have to give credit to Jordan Goldman. Jordan he's an excellent mechanical engineer. And he's with Zero Energy Design, who's an excellent architecture firm out of Boston and New York. Jordan's out of New York, and we actually use them for a number of our projects. But we picked his brain for a few of these things. And, and I kind of threw out a bunch of things and said, Jordan, here's what I think things generally are. And I don't know, I had about a 50% hit rate.
Oh, you had more than 50.
I did okay.
It was really a lot of yes ands to everything you said.
Okay.
So it's like 100 square feet. Yeah. But how big's your house? And what are these systems? It can really depend. So 200 square feet, maybe for a bigger house, either 3 or 4 bedroom house.
Right. But think about that. Like even 100 square feet is like the size of a small bedroom.
Exactly.
It's a bedroom.
Right.
Like, we're thinking when you draw it in your plans, are you drawing an extra bedroom?
No.
Almost never.
Right. And isn't that conditioned square footage
Absolutely
really precious, especially in today's market
Yeah.
where we're pricing things by the square foot, and you tell a client, oh, you're going to, spend, your square foot cost times 100 square feet to house all the stuff that you really don't care about unless it breaks. Then you care a lot about, but yeah.
Right. So if you sold them on the thing where it doesn't take a lot of space in the mechanical room, just think about your pitch next time.
Yeah.
Because if you've gotten this far, there's a good chance that you've gotten yourself in a bind by making it too small.
Right. I get caught with that. I'm guilty of that. Like I'll say, oh, it's not going to take
For
much.
sure.
Because then you experience some scope creep.
Right.
Check out our scope creep episode. And then all of a sudden your house is bigger. You have some more things. And like we say, curveballs are thrown at you. And all of a sudden you need space for these things and you didn't have it. you didn't do it in your schematic design. Now you're adding on, you're growing.
Yeah.
And that's moving the needle the wrong direction.
No.
Or you're trying to do something stupid like sticking it in an unconditioned attic or crawl space. Don't do that, people. You know better. You already know better. If you're watching this, you already know all that stuff belongs in conditioned square footage. So
Absolutely.
yeah, maybe semi-conditioned where it's like at a lower temperature, but its air volume is shared generally.
So we'll go into our design to say, well, let's talk about it now. Like you want to get the reason we want to talk about it now is because you want to get this information in. You have to start thinking about it in schematic design, right at the outset.
Right.
One of the things that has been really interesting that Jordan has got us to think about is you might want to think about 2 mechanical rooms.
Right.
Maybe one's in the basement and one's on the top floor.
Right.
Because then you reduce your distribution.
Yeah. When we start thinking about distribution, the farther away things are, the more that costs to run the whatever material, whether it's conduit or plumbing pipe or Romex. The farther it goes, the more expensive it is. But also, the heat loss or whatever. How long does it take to turn on to get hot water to your tap?
That's right.
You want to centralize those things, and we've talked about that. There's a great phenomenon called the what is it? The hot water rectangle.
Oh, right. Yeah. That's right. Yes,
rectangle?
I do.
You take, look it up. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but basically you take your floor plan and you draw a rectangle,
right?
That is the shape of, from the extreme of your hot water fixture here to the extreme of your hot water fixture here to the extreme here. And then you've got a ratio of the triangle, of the rectangle to the plan.
You get it nice and tight, you've done a good job because your distribution for your hot water is pretty short.
It's a great visual. And of course, it doesn't count if your rectangle's here and your mechanical room's over here. Then, no, you got to draw the mechanical room in that.
That's all part of it.
Because that's all part of it.
Yeah.
But that's a way you can start, visualizing the efficiency of hot water distribution.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start breaking down the stuff in the mechanical room.
Let's do it, man.
All right. So hot water heat pumps are they're really interesting.
Yeah. They're the
or
rage,
heat pump hot water heaters.
Yes.
I think that's more technically correct, but I think it's sort of interchange. I mean, the reality is that they're the same thing.
Right.
So the key of the hot water heat pump or the heat pump hot water heater is that it's efficient because it uses the heat and the energy from the space around it
to
warm up the heat to make it hot.
Right.
So what that does is that it leaves the air around it colder. And you have to have enough conditioned space around it for it to draw from. Otherwise, it's just not efficient.
Right. It'll just if you put that heat pump hot water heater in a tiny little closet and turn it on, it's going to cool that closet. And it's going to keep cooling it and keep cooling it until it's straining to get more heat out of that air. And you're thinking to yourself, this doesn't sound efficient at all. Like, how am I getting, heat out of the air? If you think about it this way, of the ratio of a heat pump, like that you hear the coefficient of performance is like, 3 point something.
Right. One unit of energy in, 3 units of energy out.
Because you're magnifying that energy input by using phase changing of a refrigerant. All right. Brilliant. Anyway, so even though you are using, room heat that they are then heating up again, it's still, as a ratio, it's still more efficient than heating things with regular electric. But your point is we need to give that hot water heat pump an air volume that it can exchange with. And so one other fun thing to do is you put your heat pump dryer. If you have a small house and we're going to talk about this, the mechanical room often sees not just mechanical stuff in it, but storage, laundry, other appliances and things that may not have been planned for in the beginning, and they kind of get added in. But a heat pump dryer produces heat.
You're making fun of my mechanical room, aren't you, in my house? You and my wife.
Kind of.
Yeah.
No.
It's filled with all that crap.
Yeah. Well, whose isn't? If someone gives you a room, if there's a room and you put all the
feel good.
Yeah. You put all the clearance in there, it's very tempting to just put the Christmas tree box, stand, whatever you use. Right. We use a real tree, but whatever.
But to make the heat pump hot water heater efficient, it needs space around it. It needs volume so it can draw from that air. Like Chris said, that doesn't work so well with the closet.
Right.
until you leave it thirsty. So in order to do that, you need, I always thought of like a 10 by 10 by 10 space.
Yeah.
I think, but Jordan was giving us 700 cubic
700
feet.
cubic feet. So, that's not
10 by 10 by 7. So yeah, like that's, again, 100 square feet. Like we said at first,
a
7-foot ceiling.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's 700 square feet. So
Cubic feet.
cubic feet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Right. So that's where you start.
Right.
Let's talk about what a ducted heat pump looks like.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So a ductless is pretty easy. It doesn't have to go in your mechanical room. And at this point, if you're watching us, you probably know what it looks like. It's about 4 feet by 18 inches by 18 inches. Is that right? Does that sound right to you? 2 feet?
Sure.
And and it sits on the wall. And there's a couple different versions. Sure, it could be on the ceiling, but the thing we usually see that's the most typical. It's a thing that sits high on your wall.
Right. It's a wall cassette, they call it.
Yeah. And it takes up a chunk of space, but it's great if you can keep it out of the mechanical room. But often you don't like the look of it in the house, particularly in some of these high-end houses. So you have to find another place for it. And it's not, I will say it's not always in the mechanical room.
Right.
Sometimes it's in another space in the house. For instance, if your roof looks like that and you've got space in the attic, that's another place for it. So
you're talking about you've got your split system. I'm going to back up for just a second.
Thank you. Please do this.
So your heat pump, your split system, it's called a split system because you've got compressor outside your house, not attached to your wall, but sitting on a pad because that's how a professional does it. And then you've got a refrigerant line going into the house, going to that cassette, that wall, and so it's split.
That's right.
And it's mini because it's just this little guy, and that's going to take care of a certain square footage of volume, whatever. That's right. But then you're saying,
if you don't want to see that, you have your outdoor condenser and that same line that goes into this other unit. And that other unit, the difference is that it doesn't deliver air directly into the space. So the ones on the wall will do that. They'll supply an exhaust directly from that one space. See, there's no ductwork involved. So once you have a thing that you don't want to see that on the wall, you need ductwork from that thing.
Right.
And that thing is a box that is about, I think of 24 by 48 or something, 24 by 36.
Yeah.
And it's got ductwork, like fairly large ductwork coming out of it.
And we're going to,
and glycol loops going in and out of it too.
Right. We're going to start talking about, distribution pretty quickly when we're talking about HVAC and we're talking about heat pumps. And so if you're using that ductwork, so in your mind, the designer's mind, I'm going to put that, the indoor handling the unit, the indoor air handling unit, I'm going to put it inside. I'm going to duct off of it. Well, these ducts can't just magically go off of it. They come from certain directions and they have to bend at minimum radii. And so all of a sudden this box now takes up more space to get everything in and out and to it. And another thing about your indoor air handling unit is it needs, I got this from wherever heat pumps. It's just a nice thing, a nice little reminder.
My friend Scott Libby.
Scott Libby, yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Shout out to Scott. Anyway, I like to put this in new people's hands. This is what your heat pump needs. It's not a magic thing where you've got a cassette on the wall and a thing outside. That's very easy to draw. But, you've got, this is called line set, insulated copper line. And I don't want to pull this out too far because I'll never
It looks very anatomical.
Yeah, it's great, but it's actually copper. And, it's pretty stiff, And the thing is, this needs to bend, without joints, ideally, from the outdoor unit to the indoor unit. So basically you get 4 bends. And then after that, this thing gets hard to pull through and bend and, thread. You got to thread this through places. And so you have a liquid line. Well, what do we call this? You've got a vapor line, a liquid line. Somebody's going to call in and say, oh, technically that's not a liquid line, because they're bidirectional. But anyway, be that as it may, folks, you've got 2 copper line set lines. You've got your power, and then you've got condensate draining from that heat pump unit. So this doesn't have to follow these guys, but that condensate pipe, that's got to go somewhere. And so you got to plan for these things, especially if you're going to play that game like you're the hot shit architect. They're like, you don't need all that space. Well, if you're not using a bunch of space, you still got a plan for how this gets. Do you want to hear a quick story?
I would love to hear a quick story.
My learning about.
Can you do a quick story?
No, I guess I can't. I have a medium story.
I'd love to hear a medium story from you, Chris.
The short version is younger Chris called to one of his earlier heat pump things, and they're like, how do you want me to run? How do you want me to connect that cassette to this outdoor unit? I'm like, oh, it's really easy. I understand the problem. You go through these joists, and yeah, you got to cut a hole through this beam, but then you go, into the space under the stairs, down, out, over, whatever. And then he explained, I got to thread this through all that. I got, 4 bends. That's about all you get. That's the rule of thumb. But
I didn't know the 4 bends. I just learned something new.
That's an architect spouting it out. Yeah, you can do more bends, but the distance of that too is also depends on how much heating and cooling you're doing. But a good rule of thumb is like 50 feet. You don't want to go more than 50 feet on that.
I heard longer than that. You can get away longer.
You can get way longer depending on the line and the compression. Mm-hmm. But the longer it gets, the less efficient it is.
Less efficient, yeah.
But we're talking small amounts, So yeah, if you need to go that extra distance, go for it. You can go like 80, 100 even, but
So he had a note that was really interesting, that the recent switch to A2L refrigerants, there are greater volume requirements for the location of the air handler. I'm just going to read this verbatim because I'm not smart enough to know this. The new refrigerant, 454B,
right,
is more flammable than 410A, which I recall that one. Yeah. So you need to allow for a diluted concentration in the event of a refrigerant leak. The requirements will vary from about 100 square foot installation space for a 1-ton unit to over 500 square feet for a 3-ton unit. Ooh,
I know.
Okay. Wow.
I read that too, and I was like, whoa, what? Because I have a project right now. I'm not providing 500 at all.
It's really that big.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like, wow, okay. Because this unit has an actual flammable refrigerant in it, and so it needs to be able to be diluted in the air if it leaks, and so it's not dangerous.
Yeah.
So you need a larger air volume, and you can't contain it in a little box or whatever. Hey, let's do a quick thing on maintenance. We're probably going to talk about maintenance, right? Yeah. So, I learned not that long ago that the maintenance involved on a heat pump is way more intensive than I thought. Like I think about
you can't just leave it. You have to change out the filters pretty regularly if you want it to be efficient.
Well, more than filters, and this is the thing. It's like the filter, changing that filter is super important for the heat pump, but you also have to wash down the coils annually. We should annually, at least biannually. Don't every heat pump guy's gonna now call and no, it's every year we got to do that because if you're
wash down the coils. No kidding.
Yeah. There's you gotta basically do a little cleaning in there because you can grow mold in that thing. It is a perfect. You just need, dew point, which you've got a lot in that unit. And then you just need a little bit of dust, which is food for mold and things, which your house, sorry to say, Phil, probably has.
No,
I have a little bit of dust.
Definitely has. I'm sure it has a little bit of dust.
But
His last words are going down very quickly.
They are.
Very
Maybe
nice.
It's not the last. Maybe we'll have another.
That's right. Going. We could. All right. So those, do we need to say anything more about ducted heat pumps? I think we could keep going, but at least for the size of it, in the mechanical room, we have a rough size, and you have to plan for your distribution.
Right. And I will say about the heat pumps that it's very tempting to do things like in ceilings or something like that. There are kinds that are ceiling cassettes.
I know where you're going. You need to service this stuff.
You need to service it. If you're going to have somebody come over, or if you are seasonally going to clean that filter, which is easy, you just pull it out, hose it down, or saying, let it dry, put it back in, and that's easy. But if you're going to have someone come and service like they're supposed to, which will help improve the efficiency and everything, you're not going to make them crawl in an attic and do a thing or whatever. They'll just say, no, thanks. You'll call, and the next time they'll be like, what? Oh, I didn't get it.
That's right.
Yeah. So be a cool designer and think about how all these pieces of equipment are maintained. ERVs as well.
Yeah.
Is that where we're going?
Yeah,
next?
we're going to ERVs.
Yeah.
So, I usually think of the ERV it's a wall-mounted thing and it's a little bit bigger. You know, I think if it's like I don't know, maybe like a 2x4 that's
Yeah.
maybe 2 feet deep or something like that.
Yeah,
It's a little deeper.
about as big as this placard, only deeper.
Yeah.
And
Right. So it'll sit on the wall, and you can open it up, and you can access the filters and things like that. But it's a big old chunk. And again, there's ductwork that you have to think about. There's a supply and an exhaust. So it's got a bulk to it. And again, you have to service it. So you have to leave some space around it.
Yeah. And filters all the time. Usually they're really easy to access. They make it easy that
Two
way.
little handles, and you can just pull them right out.
But it's more than just that size, Phil, isn't it? Because your ducts come out. On one side, you've got the big boy ducts that go, to the outside of the house.
That's right.
And they usually need to be separated.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got a big duct, you've got to run somewhere to get to the outside.
Right. My rule of thumb is that they need to be like 10 feet apart minimum when they leave the building.
Right.
So they got to go out and find a home.
Yeah. And they do make concentric, venting things, but those are...
What are you talking about, Lunos and things like that?
No. I mean, like you've got ones that the exhausts and intakes at the same point. It comes up, one jets out and comes in, and the other comes in the side. In some way like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Sounds
possible.
expensive.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, it's going to be easier just to do that.
Yeah,
thing.
do that.
Right. Do that.
Right, and then you've got the ductwork that comes out of it that feeds all the spaces in the house and need fresh air, and you need to exhaust back from those spaces.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that distribution and the obstructions that we run into all the time. So like our office is big fans of open web joists. I don't know if you are.
Oh yeah, they're fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah. And it's really easy in the pricing exercise to say to yourself, when the numbers are coming in, you're looking at the scheduled values that, the open web joists are more expensive than the I joists. Yeah, but if I'm going to run something through them, that it'll pay for itself so easily the second someone has to, drill, thread. And if you're doing an ERV with like the Comfo tubes,
That's right. Those are the smaller diameters. I think they're 3-inch diameter. Is that right?
3.5.
3.5.
They're actually just shy of 3.5, so it fits in a 2x4.
And they sort of have those. They're kind of ribbed, and you can kind of move them. Sort of, they're a little slinky-esque, but they're not quite as.
They look like shop vac
movable.
tubes. Some of them are smooth on the inside. That's classy. You want to use those. Here's a fun rule of thumb. So when I'm thinking about distribution for ventilation, I try to get the office to think about this too, is one of those Comfo tubes, it's a great way to do it, is 12 CFM. So if my bathroom, I liked it. So I start thinking in factors of 12, right? So like...
cubic feet per minute.
Oh, thank you. Yes, right. So like a bathroom with a shower, you want at least, and a continuous, balanced ventilation system, you want 36 CFM out of that. That's 3 tubes. I got to run 3 tubes from the ERV to that one bathroom. And then I'm going to have to balance that with 3 more tubes to somewhere else in the living space that you'd supply, like the bedroom or the living room. Likewise, kitchen, that's 36. A half bath, maybe just 12, or something. Laundry room, maybe 24. So I add up the exhausts, and then I balance it with supply, and by golly, it's pretty darn close to what ends up being done. And I'm gonna.
You are a good architect.
Oh,
that's a lot of math.
No, it's really easy. It's factors of 12, and they're tubes, and you can actually think how they're gonna go. My old boss, Scott Tees, and a shout out to him. I'll be amazed if he's watching, but if he is, remember this, that, like when you're meeting with your engineer, he said, you usually want to have a good idea of how you want it to go. Mm-hmm. It's going to be really annoying if you walk in there and say, well, I don't know. Well, you tell me, well, how should this go? And it's going to inevitably be not what you want when you're done. So to have a good collaborative process, you want to know what you're doing for that. So that's my little
I love
ventilation.
That.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott. And, just like empower yourself. This is all about like empowering yourself as a designer.
Yeah.
Like, don't say, I don't really know. That's for you to figure out.
Yeah.
You know, be smart, and then you're in control of what exactly goes in there, and you know, you're ready for it. You can design around it.
Yeah. Can I share another short story?
You're on a roll. Keep going.
So here in the office, like we are right now working on.
I might pour myself a little more alcohol.
Why don't you see what you
we
can
got
do?
all this genevieve.
We have all the things. We're not going to shake it, but
Yeah.
he can make it work. I'm working on this. We in the office are working on this very small, cottage, and we've done that exact thing that we said these other architects do, which is look, it's so small, it's so efficient. We only need like a couple of split systems and blah 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 blah. Anyway, we are doing this thing where we are embedding one of these ducted units, sort of like over a doesn't matter, in like a chase. So the thing is, it's also in there with other equipment that needs panels to come out and be easily accessed. So in our office, we were actually going through the operation and installation instructions for each one of these things as we set it out.
Cool.
We're getting our sizes right.
Wow.
What a great lesson for people in the office.
Really good.
Yeah.
Anything more we need to say about ERVs?
Yeah. One more thing. It really sucks to plan a really tight mechanical room. And then, as you said earlier, somebody says, do we want to think about dehumidification here? And then you're like, yeah, let's add it. Oh, you just added a unit that's going into, usually the supply side of the ductwork.
Yeah.
And that takes
a space.
That takes space.
It needs some stuff. About like 1.5 feet by 3 feet or so.
Right.
You got to find a little space for that in the room as well.
Right.
And we're increasingly doing that with dehumidification.
I was talking about obstructions.
Yeah.
Anyway, the stairs. How many times have you seen either from other architects, we'll say other architects or people, who are designing things, and they just have mechanical room under the stairs or hot water under the stairs, or the mechanical room is right next to the stairs. Stairs are notorious for being the thing that you can't get
move around
and move things through. Everything's the stringers are way deeper than you think.
You got headers all around and all sides, and you can't get up and across it and over. You gotta
So like if you snuggle up your mechanical room, like in a basement corner, and then there's stairs, and then you've got like beams going across up there that you have to drill through to get, it's like, or even if it's on the first floor and not in a basement, you just kind of pinned yourself in and made distribution difficult. So beams, so I'd say try not to, surround your mechanical room with beams. Try to use open web joists. Try not to use an under the stairs scenario. I've done it. I know I've done it, but try not to do it. That's a last resort.
Yeah, it's tempting, right? Because you've got like, we have all this extra space. What are we going to do there? You can't really stand up.
Yeah.
So sometimes there's something that goes.
I could put an ERV right in there.
Yeah.
Oh, let's talk about but you got to be able to stand up to. So like clearances. Did we say clearances? So electrical. No. You have an electrical panel. You need 36 inches
in front of it.
7 feet tall in front of it, and you have to make sure it's a safe environment. Remember that I was like saying, like if you have your electrical panel and then somebody puts in a washer installs a washer underneath it, well, that's a grounded appliance. So like someone working on that electric panel could accidentally ground themselves while they get shocked, and then that's no fun. That's dangerous. So keeping these clearances and kind of keeping them sacred is important. And so like your mechanical appliances, it's 30 inches in front of it, and I think 6 feet tall. Not always, because it's really, what can you do to maintain that device,
right?
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Yep. Important.
Okay.
What else you want to talk about? I have structure to talk about later, but you've kind of already talked about it a little bit.
Well, what did you want?
I just wanted to talk about, you talked about open web joists.
Yeah.
It's another thing that we don't think about at the outset, but we kind of have to start doing that. Like, is there a main structural beam? Sure, you have open web joists, and sometimes you can't.
Right.
You can't have that. You can't avoid but not having a big structural beam.
Right. It's like flush framed so that
Right.
you run into it. Yeah.
Right. You just gotta be aware of the thing that you're designing. If you're having a large open span and you have a mechanical room on one side and you have a big open space where you need some distribution on the other side, how do you get from point A to point B?
Right.
So then you have to start thinking, well, maybe I want my choice to orient, even if they're open web, orient in a different way and think about how they span and how deep they are.
Yeah.
Just get your head into these things and don't wait before you solve those problems.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. Think about structure. Really, while as you're designing, think about structure.
Yeah, definitely. And think about, like our office is actually starting to do, some more than diagrammatic mechanical plans, like their actual, 3D ductwork and pieces of equipment and things like that.
Which is great. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, just because we are doing that thing where we're saying you don't need that space, you don't need all that, we can run it through here, and we want to make sure that it's on there so that when it goes to the job site, that someone's immediate reaction would be no. We need a mechanical room. It needs to be bigger, and we need a drop ceiling so that we can run all the stuff that you put in. And I want to be able to say, no, we've thought of all that. Here's why. So if you're going to play that game, you better play it like like a shark, like a card shark.
Well, when we start diagramming that, if we find when we have to cross a couple lines, oh, heads up.
Yeah.
That's a little sign that you got to figure out the elevate. Then you're not in plan anymore, right? You got to think about where those things meet in space, and they got to go past each other.
Right.
And sometimes, they're not this big. They need some insulation around a duct or something like that. And you just gotta have more information.
Right. And I'm sure trades are always fighting for that space. They're always fighting. They want to be first in the mechanical room so they can put their stuff up on the wall, stake out their territory, and run their stuff through the ceilings and be first.
Right. And I would say, Chris, I'm curious if you've come across this. It's like we'll sometimes draw these really tidy diagrams where we think they're tidy diagrams. Granted, they're not perfect, but I'm not convinced the tradespeople look at them.
They would rather not.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to say, well, as long as I'm torn on this, right? Like we need to make sure that there is a way to do it, without a soffit.
Well, without. I'm sorry. I was about to say that the way to do this is to have meetings, pre-construction meetings.
Yeah.
And as a designer, try to insert yourself there. You're going to be so much smarter. Come prepared to talk about this and be very open, because everyone there knows more about that piece of equipment
it totally
than
is.
You do.
And this is what I'm saying. So, draw it, be smart about it, but don't be super rigid. Just find an answer that doesn't screw up your design.
Yeah.
Right? Do the best you can. Work with the folks that are on site who do this day in and day out. And just let them know you've thought about it and you've thought about them.
And that you're accessible to call and talk about it. So,
yeah.
Because those guys and gals out there installing this stuff, we need them.
We're totally dependent on them.
We need them to be really good, really communicative, and know their stuff. So cheers to you guys out there.
Yeah, the installers.
You're in your gin.
That's right. One of the things we didn't talk about is that sometimes ground source heat pumps.
Oh yeah.
They're bigger. They take up a chunk of space. Now, we haven't done many of them, but I remember one that was really big, and you've done more than we have.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
Right after this drops, we'll post a couple of photos of a very large house with a very large mechanical room in it, and it's one that makes me go, oh, and here's another thing. If you're out there, mechanical guys installing these things, make them logical. I love seeing. Don't you love seeing the logic in the flow of the pipes and the things, and how they go and they gracefully go together?
A good installer really cares about that.
Really,
so I think we're really convinced that they enjoy that as well.
Right. If you just have this rogue pipe, well, what is this? Where does it go? It disappears behind that thing and over there, and that fries my noodle. Makes me upset. But you just reminded me.
Fries your noodle.
Fries my noodle. I mean, this noodle, the thinking one.
Yeah.
So the ground source heat pump, I'll share a mechanical room that has this in it. But that looks like it's about the size of a small chest freezer. It's about the size of maybe a large dormitory refrigerator or something like that. But it needs all the accoutrement that the chartreuse talking.
Yeah, the Genepi.
The Genepi talking. But it needs all the pumps and widgets and tanks, storage tanks to store to store that hot water. That's the other thing. If you're doing a ground source heat pump system, you have more than your hot water tank. You have more tanks for extra storage. Anyway, but that reminded me of that mechanical room, which reminded me of another thing that can be, that's a surprise, is when your client says, our security system and our data system.
There's that lighting systems.
We're gonna have a whole bunch of Lutron controls, and in our network, basically you've got almost like a little server room down there.
Yeah, right.
And that's all electric, and it needs its full 36-inch clearance in front of it, and does not want to be near water. So, surprise! If you weren't thinking about that, have those conversations early and be ready.
Yeah. Batteries are another whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
We haven't talked
talk
about batteries either, but like sometimes you want, a battery backup. People will say, have you used the Tesla?
Yeah.
Power.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Powerwall.
Powerwall.
Tesla Powerwall. We also used, I can't remember what it was, Pica or Enphase, but some people will use the battery as a backup for when the power goes out. And unlike a generator, you can't just refill it. You've got, you kind of start the clock. You got about 2 days, depending on the size of your solar system, size of your batteries, all that jazz. And it might be just critical systems, but that takes up space. So you better plan on that. And it'll be the panel, the inverter. So there's another box there before it gets to the batteries as well. And so it can spread out. And then you have to find out how thermally sensitive are those batteries. Can they be in the garage? And that's a question for your solar installer. Go check that out. Yeah, read the manual, everybody. That's like there's one takeaway. Read the manual of all this equipment. Start to get educated on it. So.
I think we're doing pretty well. We're about 50 minutes in, and I'm going through our list of like other things that we could have talked about, and I think we already talked about like the design factors that we want to talk about. Planning it out in SD, hold enough room. Yeah, 100 square feet minimum, 200 square feet once you count the stuff, and make sure you just list all your stuff and think about it ahead of time.
I can add one more thing. Like, remember, with every penetration through your building, that's an opportunity for leakage, and we as sustainable designers are trying to minimize that. So lucky for you, there's so many. This one's this is a Tescon Vana one. I got Sega ones and Tescon Vana. So the Tescon gets the Proclima product gets the shout out, but Sega's out there as well. But basically, they're little stretchy pipe penetrations that you can pipe and peel off and stick and seal. Great stuff.
Cool. Any last words, Chris?
No, I'm done. So cheers, everybody. Thanks for hanging in there.
This has been the Green Architects Lounge. Please email us at
the Green Architects Lounge at gmail.com. And follow, subscribe, do all those social things, and we'll see you next month. Cheers.
Cheers.